Hello, people. Cheers. It's Friday, December 2nd, and I have my favorite sweater on because I did some laundry. Cheers. Yes, I'm in a good mood. I wake up to lots of good stuff online. Let me start off with Bandcamp Friday. It's Bandcamp Friday, and I have just uploaded a new release. I've already gotten some feedback about it from a friend out in San Diego who's saying he really wished that it was longer. So let me explain right up front that this is recent material that I went back. So I'm working on a new album. It's for next year. The bulk of that music actually got started in 2021. In reviewing things, I didn't think I had come up with very much in this year. But looking back at the folders, there were ideas. There were a few snatches of music that were short but complete enough to share, and that's what's on Interlude. But my friend Joe, who's in radio, noticed, he said there's a couple things where it's like, man, it seems like it was just, where was it going to go next? And it's like, well, that's good ears, because he's really listening. The fact of the matter is that there are some incomplete ideas on there, but that's not the first time that's happened. And the other thing about it is the way he described it is that the music struck him like musical passages from a movie, or things from a scene that will move into another scene. That's why I call it interlude. These things, because as I was listening to them, it was like some of them struck me as, well, this could be in a movie. This is like an interlude, between two major scenes. So that's explaining the content of the latest release, Interlude. But it's on Bandcamp. I'd appreciate your support very much. Please pick it up. Grab it, please. As well as, I'm not selling this personally, but this jazz from the 23rd century compilation that I've been talking about gets released today. And I'll leave the links for this in my description box below the video as well. Super pleased to be on this. Everyone from Dave Newhouse and Ron Anderson to me are on here. Elliot Kaiser, other cats from the Muffins, Greg Siegel, Martin Archer is on here. Some great people, and really good stuff. That's what I'm happy to say about it. It's like I'm not just blowing this up because I'm on it. It's because it's really good. And as I listen to it, Forrest Fang's piece on here with another guy, beautiful. It's a real standout. Forrest Fang with Joseph Benzola. Wow, that's a real standout on here. It's excellent. So this is out today too. So grab that as well. Excuse me a second. So yesterday's interview with Gary Green was fantastic, as was the interview with Ron Anderson a few days earlier. That was also fantastic. Really enjoy these. Stephanie called me yesterday to tell me, and I want to thank you so much, Stephanie. My older sister Stephanie went ahead and bought a yearly subscription to Zoom. And after watching me talk with Gary Green and dealing with that time limit, she offered me the use of her account to do my next interviews. I'm going to take her up on it, but I'm also going to contribute financially to her subscription, because I looked at the cost, the yearly subscription cost. I said, that's too much for what I would use it for, and it seemed like a lot, even though I'm on Zoom every week with my family, that was how Stephanie figured that it was worth it. So I'll contribute, but that, yeah. Okay, but anyway, the interview was so much fun. I contacted Brad Elvis, who we talked about in the video. If you don't know who Brad Elvis is, he's the drummer for the band The Romantics. Not their original drummer, but he's been with them for the last 16, 17 years. The band that had the huge hit What I Like About You. But Brad was also in the band The Elvis Brothers before that, doing a Stray Cats sort of thing. Do you remember them from MTV days? I had the great pleasure of working with Brad on this album. I've talked about this before. This Danish artist that I worked with and toured the U.S. with Cleemann. Different is the album that this came out 2014. Okay, I forget the years. This was a wonderful experience. Produced by Ellis Clark, who does the annual George Harrison tribute in Chicago. He's also worked with a lot of really cool people, from the Swell Maps to Trent Reznor. So this experience of being, Cleemann's a friend of mine, but I do call the work for him session work. It was a session work. I play bass on about half of these tracks, Brad on drums. And while we were working together in Chicago, we get to talking because that's how I am. And I bonded with Brad strongly. He looks like somebody like one of the Kinks to me. What was also cool was that this these sessions went so well that when Brad caught wind of the fact that Cleemann had some gigs, and that we had one coming up nearby, not in Chicago, but we had to travel, I think possibly to Wisconsin. I forget. He would remember. But Brad offered to play. He said, shoot, I'll play, because we were playing as a three-piece with no drummer. Keyboards, guitar, and bass. And he enjoyed these sessions so much, kind of like there's some David Bowie in Cleemann's style. I do have an extra copy of this that I can sell. But it's also available still through Chicago Acoustic Underground. I'll remember to put a link for this. But anyway, so we had to travel, and Brad, because he had to take his drums, had to drive. So perfect opportunity to get to know him better. So I rode to the gig with him, a few hours both ways. And we just got on like a house on fire because we're both music nerds and music collectors. He was also in a metal band, pop metal band, that tried to make it in the 80s called Screams. Do you remember that band? I have the album. I don't think I can pull it up right away, but anyway, as we're just talking and yakking about stuff, and I'm talking about what kind of music I love, and of course progressive rock comes up, and Gentle Giant event came up, and he shares with me, hey, guess what? I know Gary Green from Gentle Giant, and I had forgotten the details of what he told me, but when I talked to Gary, and Gary said they were in a band together, it was like, wow, that's just the best. It was like making a new friend, the conversation with Gary yesterday. I do intend to call him sometime in the near future and say, hey, you want to do this again? Let's talk some more. So the other part of this, really exciting and very unexpected development. So perhaps some of you are aware of a blog that's been online for a long time called Psychedelic Baby Magazine. Cleemann is in Europe somewhere, I forget where. But he started this blog where he's been doing some fantastic interviews over the years with all kinds of musicians, particularly from the past, with psychedelic and obscure records, people that need to be known about. And he has taken the time over the years to look these people up and hunt them down and interview them. And it's all on his website, Psychedelic Baby. He just messaged me and said, Dereck, I just love your interviews and was wondering if you would be interested in seeing them transcribed and published on his website with me being credited, of course, and links to the YouTubes. Wow. I said yes, of course, and I said, wow, man, that's labor intensive. He said, yeah, it is. Give me till about January to get the first ones up. Wow. That's fantastic. So not only are the videos here online, but they're going to be transcribed so you can read them. I'm honored. I'm extremely honored. Thanks, Cleemann. Thank you all. The feedback in the comments for the Gary Green have been wonderful. Yes, it is a privilege to be able to tell a musician or an artist who have truly, I mean, what I said to Gary is the truth. I could say even more. I could tell more stories about Gentle Giant's music's impact on my life. But it's wonderful to be able to share that with the artist and get their reaction. I know what it's like because I've received it myself. You know, I was just reflecting on a time when digital sex was really blowing up here locally, and after a particular show at the Howard Street, I went ahead and had a party. It's something I seldom do. And my house was, you couldn't get all the people in the house, so there was a party in the basement, in the house, and in the front yard. And I didn't know hardly any of these people. Thankfully, my house survived, because it could have become really debauched. And it did to a little bit. And that was, excuse me, I was never in this for that. Never into music for that, you know, but I've experienced it. Okay, the music directly and the connection to those who make it, and also claiming my spot as a music maker, and one of those people has been my it's been my personal goal, and I've achieved it. And every time something like this happens, like talking to Gary Green and Ron Anderson, just affirms it. Wonderful experiences, people. With that in mind, I did just hear back from Richard Barbieri of Porcupine Tree, Japan. He says, yes, it's been very hectic. I do want to talk to you, and we will have that conversation soon. That's from Richard. I just love it. I just love it. This is very cool. So that's the main thing I want to share. I have a couple records I played yesterday, besides more Gentle Giant, of course. But it's Bandcamp Friday, and please, I would really appreciate your support. Get this new record, digital release only. I was surprised, you know, at some of it. I was really thinking I wasn't getting much done this year, except working on those tracks, preparing them for next year. Anyway, played this all the way through. The Ghoulies, Dogged by Dogma. There's a Canterbury connection here. I don't know the main guy's story. Charlie Summers. Seems like this is his date. And he got Dave Stewart, the Dave Stewart of Egg, Hatfield in the North, and all those bands. Con. He got him on here. He got Pip Pile on drums on some tracks. And the other people's names don't ring real strong bells for me. But this is very good, and it has that Hatfield and the North flavor throughout the album, even on the tracks that Dave Stewart is not on. It's very good. The singing is also close to Richard Sinclair. vocal stylings from Caravan in Hatfield. Very good album. Played this. This is an album I bought in New York. I forget the name of the shop, but I always remember that I bought this in a particular shop that's well known in New York. I hope it's still open. I could have gone broke there. It was just mind-numbingly juicy. Susumu Yokota. I'd love to get more of their work. Grinning Cat. This is unique because it has ambient passages that are just really full, totally realized. Then it has these other rhythmic things that are very much like Steve Reich. Rhythmic and undulating and beautiful. And then there's these other things that are very abstract. Really good album. Told you that the other day I had watched a documentary on Radiohead. Really enjoyed it. And it reminded me to get back to this album. A Moon-Shaped Pool. This is gorgeous. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Daydreaming is one I really like off of here. But props to Tom York and the crew for setting their own bar high and being able to reach it. It's a beautiful album. Yeah, I'm feeling good this morning, folks. Cheers. I feel like I'm forgetting something, and I probably am. So there it goes. I knew about Scott Walker, but discovered this album through the Radiohead video that they put out based on the OK Computer experience and tour. There's a hotel scene where Tom is trying to get some downtime, and he plays On Your Own Again off of here. And it was like the first time that I'd ever heard that song by Scott Walker, and I said, holy shit, where is that song? It's fantastic. It's another example of, this is a song that encapsulates in the one song the essence of what I'm looking for in music. It's wistful, it's melodic, it's gorgeous, it's melancholic. It doesn't have to be melancholic, but I find melancholy, like many artists that I admire, the melancholy is some of the sweetest music. This is a killer album. Scott Walker, Scott 4. I'd love to have an original, but this is on Four Men with Beards. Four Men with Beards have done some shitty pressings. This one isn't too bad. I do have, unfortunately, some Four Men with Beards pressings where it's like, and this is noisy as hell. But that's the only way I could find the record. So, I'll just repeat myself if I stay on here. So let me try to stop here and say thanks again for everyone. Thanks again for everything, everyone. Thanks for being loving and good people. You know, it doesn't take much to be kind, and that's what the planet needs right now more than anything, is simple human kindness. And for us to strengthen the bonds between us as humans, because we have allowed the insanity of material wealth acquisition to spoil the pot. It has everything to do with the madness of politics, and also the insane inequality of economics. So simple human kindness is what we need, and be a part of it. Be a part of the solution, people. Thanks. I'll talk to you again.